And did you have any questions before we get started? Okay. So I'm going to be taking notes throughout. If you want to take a look at my notes, that's absolutely fine. It's just if you say things that are interesting and I want to come back to, I'll just jot some things down. And to begin the interview, I just want to gather some background information so I can describe my participants. So to begin, are you comfortable telling me your age?
Yeah, I'm 36.
And gender?
Female.
Ethnicity?
White British.
And how long have you been a clinical psychologist?
I'm qualified 2008. So, yeah, 8-9 years, I think.
And have you completed any supervisor training?
Yeah.
Was that with the Oxford course?
Yeah, so I can't remember if that's 4 or 5 days, but it's their sort of... Yeah, do you know that one? So it's not their postgraduate diploma. I just did the basic.
Yeah. And what's your area of expertise or the type of service you work in?
Well, that's a good question. So I do various different things. So I worked in learning disabilities for 8 years. So that's where I've supervised trainees. And I moved to CAMS in January, but that is as a family therapist, not as a psychologist. So my sort of expertise is systemic practice and learning disabilities.
Okay. And what year trainees do you regularly supervise?
Second years.
So you said you practice a lot of systemic. Do you practice other therapeutic modalities as well?
Yeah. So I mean, it's probably more is it more helpful to think about when I was supervising trainees in a learning disability role, because I haven't been supervising trainees in my new role.
Yeah, I mean, do you supervise other clinical psychologists in your new role? No. Yeah, so probably helpful to think back on those experiences.
So we would have used narrative, CBT, positive behavioural support, positive psychology. So like a real mix, really.
Yeah.
And supervised on neuropsych assessments as well, dementia assessments, capacity assessments.
Okay. Yes, that's just the demographics out of the way. So as you know, this interview is about exploring your understanding of supervision, how things work between you and the people that you've supervised. So I was wondering if you can begin by telling me something about your experiences of supervision as a supervisor.
So broad.
I know, it's quite broad,
So I guess I started supervising assistant psychologists when I was pretty newly qualified, and then started supervising trainee psychologists after probably about 18 months, I think. I don't know, like, what kind of things do you want to know, like, just about how it's set up and those sorts of things, or just...
So like you just said, like how long you've been doing it.
So I started supervising a trainee as I started the Oxford course, because they recommend that you kind of do the first couple of days before you have a trainee and then take on a trainee. And I think I shared the first couple with my supervisor, who had been qualified for sort of 4 years more than me. So that was kind of interesting. And I guess some of the things that have changed are like the difference in age between me and trainees over time, because I've got older and they've stayed the same age often. And I don't know, I guess I've just learnt stuff about like what kind of people I find easier to supervise. So I guess I think I've learnt a lot about myself and my own practice through supervision. So I often find working with people that are similar to me a bit easier. People are a bit nervous or anxious about about being a trainee. And I guess times when it's been a bit harder is when people are a lot more confident and I'm, less likely to ask questions, or if you've got very different ideas about models, that's sometimes been a bit more challenging. Yeah.
Okay. So you spoke a little there about people that you found easier to supervise and people that you found a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have any sort of specific examples of perhaps somebody you found really easy to supervise and somebody that's been not so easy.
Yeah, sure. And I guess it's always on a bit of a continuum as well. So some things are some of the people that I've supervised have been a bit challenging in that they've got a very different model to me, and I guess my model can be a bit confusing for people. I think lots of trainees find coming to learning disabilities challenging because it can be very different from their previous experiences. So I guess just thinking about if people have come from like a more like IAP setting maybe where they're used to like having a manual and it being sort of very, I don't know, I don't want to sound judgmental, but my sense is that that's a lot more prescriptive maybe, and then that can be quite challenging coming to learning disabilities where there's often like a lot more work to do around like who's even made this referral and why, and actually the clients don't really fit always like a box in terms of all right, now let's do 6 sessions of anxiety work. So I think that can be a bit more challenging. And that for some of the trainees coming from active also, I think have found it hard because I don't know if it's like more pressure I put on trainees, but I think they're used to working in a way that there's like a right or wrong way of doing it, whereas I don't think there really is. So I think there's lots of different ways that you could do it, and then I try to foster in the trainee some sort of, I don't know what you'd call that, like a sense of agency or autonomy about finding out, you know, using different ideas and thinking about them. But I know like for one trainee they found that really problematic because I think they thought that I knew what the answer was and I was like not giving it to them. So there's something about me then having to think developmentally about how much you tell people what to do and how much you kind of help them to think what they want to do themselves. And I think partly that is about it being, you know, it was about it being a second year placement rather than a first year, but also that could be more or less stressful for trainees depending like how much they believed that they knew or, you know, they could work that out. Do you know, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So
yeah, go on.
Sorry. So you were saying about trying to sort of foster that sense of agency, and I was wondering how you go about doing that.
So I guess for me, there's something about getting to know trainees like early on. So just doing the sort of, and that's changed as well. So when I first started supervising, we were in a psychology department, and there was like a trainee room. So our trainees were like, they were just in a room. On their own, not like on their own, they were all together, which had some benefits because I think they really liked being together, but also it meant that often you had much less of a sense of knowing them. And then about 2 or 3 years ago we moved to a team base, and I really liked that because I could then like sit next to trainees like a lot more, and then you could do a lot more just sort of getting to know people. So there's something about having that relationship outside of supervision. And then I think this is recommended by the course, but some trainees found this like a bit overly mothering, I think at times, or protective maybe is a better word than mothering, but I would always have seen all of my trainees' cases with them. So first meetings would always be with them, and we would sort of talk about who would take a lead with them depending how much work we'd done together on the induction. So I'd always do a sort of 2-week induction with trainees where I try to lead most of the work. And that might be the trainee coming along and seeing what I'm doing when it's appropriate, but then also sometimes it might have been about seeing some of their clients and then like working out who's going to take a lead, how much we're going to share depending on sort of previous experience and confidence. Because obviously some trainees can't, they've done loads of LD or they've done loads of work and they feel like happy, so sort of working that out. And I guess for me that is all sort of, that's practical, pragmatic stuff about learning how the service works, but it's also about that relationship building. Because you're spending time together, like Oxfordshire, similar to Surrey, is a big county, there's lots of driving around in the car and you can do work